Good morning. It is a beautiful morning. It's been a long time since I've been here, and I'm very happy to be back. Jen has been speaking this month on the writings of Matthew Fox and his idea of working with the archetype of cosmic Christ, of the cosmic Christ. I am not personally familiar with Matthew Fox's work, but Jen has sent me some of his content, including some of his suggestions regarding cultivating what he calls the cosmic sense. The first tenet he provides is one that is very near and dear to my heart. It is deep ecumenism, or interfaith and interspirituality, for the cosmic Christ takes us to the heart of all religious experience, the living encounter with the divine in all things. This is very meaningful to me because, especially right now in our culture, in our world, there is an atmosphere of old intolerance coming up to the surface. We are experiencing racism and interfaith conflict and interpolitical conflict. But specifically in the area of faith and religion, it is one area I think it is particularly important for us to understand what unity as a church represents, and that is the acceptance of all people and all people's very individual walk with the divine. So I want to focus on that idea today, not just tolerance, but full acceptance, and not just even full acceptance, but lifting up others in their very meaningful and important personal walk with the divine in whatever form it may take. I feel it is very important for us to recognize that indeed the Spirit can and does work through many different earthly contexts, including many different religious contexts, not just religious contexts, but including religious contexts. Today, I'd like to try to speak to why that is and why it's so important. So in order to speak to why it is, we have to first say what we really are. Because what we really are is not form. We are not actually, at the deepest level, human beings. We are ourselves. You are you. The you that is experiencing this day to day is who you really are. And that you knows the human experience. You may be deeply wrapped up in the identity of the human experience, in the identities of earth and the forms and the teachings and all the things that we talk about and dwell in every day. That's normal. We're veiled while we're human. We don't usually have full conscious access to the much larger aspects of our nature and to the higher spiritual realms that are very, very real. So we see what is before us and we get completely wrapped up in just that. Even though that's the case, what we truly are transcends form. Form meaning distinction, objects, specific ideas and thoughts, places, all the things that we think are so real and are what make up the root level of reality. No, forms are the tools and the toys of creation. They are the tools and toys of spirit. We are here in something like a great playground or a classroom that is in a much bigger playground, we might say. And this classroom is full of very dense, rigorous, consistent forms that we tend to lose ourselves in over time. So we've come to Earth to dive deeply, very deeply into the experience of form. While we're here, we naturally forget so much else of what we really are. And so, because of that, all we have to work with, it seems, are the forms in our lives. And what other forms are there in the earthly context that speak to this higher spiritual nature than our religious traditions? They are very valuable because of that, in fact. But they are, of course, as is all form, limited. We sense something deeper. All people, throughout all of history, we all know deep down, whether very deep down or whether close to the surface, we all sense there's something greater going on. It's not just what I see in front of my eyes. I feel the Spirit. I feel God. Whatever word we want to use, whether we can identify it even consciously or not. We all have that connection because that is what we really are. It just gets buried underneath a whole lifetime of form association and belief. But we all sense it. And over thousands of years and millions and billions of human beings playing on this play, we have given form to that sense in many myriad ways. Religious traditions have come and gone. Some have endured. Some are quite strong. Some change. They all change. But what is truly there, that connection with God himself, itself, herself, the spirit that we truly are, it's always there. We always sense it. And we're always seeking it. We're always trying to find our way back there. For many people, that means a different form of religious tradition, because that is a form that we can work with. Some people very much resonate with one form and other people's with another, or perhaps with no form, even atheism. That's okay. There are many different ways we relate to reality. Why is it so different? Just two very brief ideas. One, each individual, that is each soul, you, are very unique. Each soul is very unique. And each soul then will engage in the content of its physical experience in a different and unique personal way, because we are very personal and unique. We each have a very unique relationship with the divine while we are here. And secondly, each individual human personality must deal with the context in which it finds itself. So you are raised with certain beliefs. Your parents hand you certain ideas, and you take those ideas. You're raised within certain religious contexts or whatever. The content of our lives influences what we buy into and associate with. We don't even need to differentiate religion from other form in this way. All the form of our lives, all the ideas, all the identity, all the, oh, this is who I am and this is who I am not. How we relate to that form is personal and unique. It's different for each person. And the spirit, that is what we really are, works through all of the form, and especially form that seems to be focused in that direction. It can be very meaningful. So the spirit is alive in each of us all the time, and each person may choose a different path to facilitate and explore that deep part of themselves, that relationship with the divine. And it is a relationship. That's a very strong Christian term. Some traditions don't speak of the idea of a relationship, but we do have a relationship with what? Well, if you want to go to the deepest level, with what we call very crudely God, but of course God cannot be named by a certain name, the source of what we are, the ocean of all that is, that we are a part of, the drop in the ocean. I love the Rumi quote. I'm just going to bring it up again. We are not just, you are not just the drop in the ocean. You are the mighty ocean in the drop. That is what you are. And so from the human perspective, it takes a relationship of having a give and take with that much larger identity. But it's not just an external thing, it's the deeper parts of yourself. And it's not even only just the other parts of yourself, it's all the other countless millions and billions and trillions of other beings that exist that you may not be able to physically see. We have many friends and family in love that we know that we may have forgotten while we're on our human journey. They are a part of us too. We have a relationship with all of it. The stars in the sky, nature around us. And it's sometimes when we behold those beautiful things and our guard is down that we feel that. We look at the sunset and we go, oh my gosh. And for a brief moment, we feel connected because that is a part of what we are. It's important as we consider these ideas to know that there is no reason to fear. Because one of the main things that we've codified into some of our religions are ideas of fear, because we have a fearful experience on earth. And so many religious traditions have tended to codify ideas of judgment, or especially, so when I say judgment, not just judgment with each other, but the idea that Source himself, God himself, could judge us, perhaps even to throw us into eternal damnation if we don't believe the right thing. No. That is not a representation of the total unconditional love of our true being. That is earth. On earth, we see so much duality, so much contrast. We take the deepest, darkest aspects of that contrast and we go, oh my gosh. And we're afraid of it, and we codify even that. It's much bigger than that. It's much bigger than form. It's bigger than all of duality. Love itself has no definition. It is deeper and more wonderful and more powerful and more freeing and more true and more full of joy than we can even possibly imagine from within the human condition. And yet we try to box it in. So I think it's so important that we remember there is nothing to fear. Fear is only possible when we engage ourselves into a reality of constraints like this that are very high, and those constraints prompt in us a yet unevolvedness. It's another word we could use for fear. We haven't integrated this depth of an experience yet, so we respond in fear, and we have a lot of it because this experience is extremely constraining. Being human is very extreme. It is not a run-of-the-mill routine experience for the spirit. It is very dense, very separate, very unique. And it prompts then, it can prompt, not automatically, it depends on the evolution of the individual, but it can prompt much fear. But the true nature that we are in that, there is nothing to fear. Fear can only arise when we lose ourselves in the separation, which is not ultimately true. The separation itself ultimately is an illusion, and therefore so is the fear. It is only as we lose ourselves in the identity of separation and form, and we try desperately to get back that which seems to have been lost, we respond in fear. Especially then, it seems, within certain spiritual traditions. But the truth is that there is nothing ever to fear. Joy and love and freedom and peace are what we always, always truly are. They are the real foundation. There is never actually a reason to fear. And meanwhile, when we judge each other here out of fear, it hurts. Rejection hurts. Judgment hurts. Acceptance is like giving someone a shelter in which they can grow. How powerful and beautiful is that? I mourn for a world in which so many people are not accepted for so many things, for sexual preference or race or religion or whatever. We are called to love each other and accept one another because that is the nature of love, and love is what we are. We do not need to buy into the quick ego result of racism, sexism, nationalism. We can leave all that aside, put it on the side, and recognize each other for our true and shared spiritual nature. We are brothers and sisters, every single one of us. We are a huge family that is connected. Accept your family. Love them. Have compassion for where they are. As we honor each other and really support each other's spiritual walk in whatever form it will take, we better align ourselves with the real power that underlies all spiritual tradition, all true spiritual tradition. And that is the power of love, the power of spirit itself. As in all things in our world, we are called to wield an intent that is based in love, not fear. That is, make choices that come from a place of love and acceptance and unity, and not fear and ego and all the things that arise from it. Love is the living substance of spirit that transcends all the forms and contexts of birth, but which can and does operate through them all too. That is the real power. So for those of us who pursue that through a spiritual tradition, it is so very important that no matter what we were taught, no matter what old fear-based beliefs may be there, that we seek that love and give that acceptance to each other and honor each other as we all undergo this very important individual walk back to the source that we really are. Let's pray. God of all things, God of unity, thank you for this place that we experience now. Help us to sense the deep love that is a part of our spirit, that we might be there for each other, that we might live in tolerance, acceptance, compassion, and support of each other. Help us to see the divine in our brothers and sisters and to see the shared nature, not the division. Help us to be there for each other in whatever ways each person needs, that we may be supportive of each other in our walk back to you. Help us to sense your love and to know it in a way that is real and tangible. and we may fulfill our intentions for coming to earth and sense the true connection we have with you, which never dies. Amen.